From the Cronkite studios in downtown Phoenix, this is Cronkite News.
Good evening and welcome to this special edition of Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Veronica Graff. Tonight, we take a look back at the top stories from our government and justice team, from how to handle road rage incidents to a program that helps rehabilitate inmates by having them work with retired Greyhounds.
Following the resignation of former Representative David Stringer after multiple ethics complaints surfaced against him, former Arizona Senate President Steve Pearce was selected and sworn in to replace him today. He tweeted that he's looking forward to getting back to work.
Earlier today, Arizona House Democrats held a news conference calling for leadership to initiate a code of conduct. And just moments ago, a voice vote in the House approved that effort. But this isn't the first time a set of rules has been called for. The Arizona legislator insisted on adopting a code of conduct last session.
Cronkite News reporter Gabriela Becerra is joining us live from the Capitol with more.
Last year's committee assigned to the task only put together a half a page, a purpose, and a list of members. Now this session's legislature wants more in writing.
We're now on day 79 of this legislative session. We have no policy and no committee.
With about 20 days left in session,
we need these rules now more than ever.
And in the light of recent ethical complaints,
scandal must no longer plague our legislature.
Democratic leaders are tired of waiting for a code of conduct to be written.
We are here today to call upon the Speaker of the House to fulfill a promise that was made to the people of Arizona to develop a code of conduct for members of the House of Representatives.
Representative Reginald Boulding says the problem is sprouting from the Speaker of the House.
We're in this position because we've seen a lack of leadership from the Speaker of the House, quite frankly, when it comes to disciplining members who've shined a negative light on the state of Arizona.
Boulding says the solution is to hold each other accountable.
This is a member-driven process where members say what they can hold each other accountable to.
The code will be developed by the members for the members.
As a House, we stand up and we hold ourselves accountable. We know voters do that every 2 years, but as members, we have to have some type of ethics to hold ourselves accountable, and that's what the Code of Conduct Committee can do.
A full committee for this session has not yet convened. 2 Democratic members were assigned back in November. At the Arizona State Capitol, Gabriela Becerra, Cronkite News.
Phoenix police say they have arrested the 20-year-old man suspected of fatally shooting a 10-year-old girl and injuring her father in a road rage incident near 39th Avenue and Moreland Street on Wednesday.
Cronkite News reporter Bayan Wang says police are now cautioning the public on how to deal with a road rage situation. Bayan.
There have been several road rage incidents in the valley within the last few weeks. Phoenix Police Sergeant Vince Lewis said drivers need to be mindful of each other when an incident on the road occurs. But if the situation escalates, the most important thing you should do, he said, is call the police.
I'm very sad about the whole situation.
The driver rolled down the window and opened fire.
Alberto Gutierrez has seen a lot in nearly 40 years of working in highway safety, but news of a 10-year-old girl being shot to death after her father cut off another driver in Phoenix made him fear for his own family.
These are my grandson and 2 granddaughters. Another granddaughter.
Gutierrez says he knows more than anyone else that this unfortunate reality is a mere product of road rage.
We see it all the time. We've been looking at aggressive driving now, my God, for 20-something years. When we helped write that bill in the legislature and pass aggressive driving can lead to road rage.
Arizona is only one of 11 states that has specific laws targeting aggressive driving, according to the Governor's Office of Highway Safety website. But Gutierrez says that's not enough. He says preliminary data indicates that there could have been hundreds of road rage incidents in the state since 2018. Phoenix Police Sergeant Vince Lewis says drivers need to be more cautious in these situations.
Try to get to an open, well-populated, well-lit area, a location or a business that might be open. Get on the phone with the police. If you're actively being followed and you don't want to stop, you can continue driving. We recommend go to major intersections and make right turns only so that we can track your path and get to you and find you a little bit more quickly.
Within the last few weeks, several road rage incidents have been witnessed in the valley. On March 23rd, a bystander in Mesa captured one of these moments.
Just listen to him, man. Don't get shot over something stupid.
Court records show that Raymond Walter Shepard followed a driver into a parking lot after he was cut off and held him at gunpoint before fleeing.
It's a dread thing that, like I said, grandparents like me and my wife and my children and grandchildren, who now have great-grandchildren, it scares me to death.
Phoenix police say if you ever think someone is following you after an incident on the road, call the police and don't drive home. Live in the broadcast center, Bayan Wang, Cronkite News.
The Phoenix Law Enforcement Agency is hosting an all-day cookout to raise money for the family of fallen officer Paul Rutherford, a 22-year Phoenix police veteran killed while responding to a traffic accident last week. Reporter Gabriella Baccara went to the fundraiser where his colleagues and the community gathered.
He loved that interaction with the community, and he loved helping people.
Now it's the community's turn to help Officer Paul Rutherford's family, and the Phoenix Law Enforcement Association hosted this all-day cookout to do just that.
It's a really hard time, of course, it's obvious for the family. So this is another thing that they don't have to worry about.
PLEA is accepting donations on the family's behalf and in return offering food to those wanting to help out.
Up some bacon, eggs, pancakes. Anybody who wants to come down and partake, you're welcome.
Volunteers were at the griddle all morning.
Oh, I'm making pancakes.
Christian Hessenar didn't know Rutherford personally, but thinks it's important to help a fallen first responder.
They've literally given their life, and throughout their entire years of working in the service, I think it's the least that we could do to help them out.
And for those who did know him,
I worked with Paul in 96 or 97 in the Mountain View precinct. We were young officers together. We actually rode together.
only good things were said.
Just a really good guy. It's a huge loss for our department.
Well, we need to support our brothers and their families in this tragic time. I think it's our responsibility to take care of each other, and I would hope that if something tragic happened to me, that these same guys would be out here supporting my family and helping them through this time.
Volunteers plan on sticking around until 11 p.m.
We'll cook until there's no one else to cook for.
In Phoenix, Gabriella Baccara, Cronkite News.
If you want to make a donation but can't make it out to the cookout tonight, you can donate online at pleacharities.com. All donations will go to the Rutherford family.
The news of New Zealand's shooting brought people from all over the valley to the Tempe Mosque on Saturday, where a vigil was held to pay tribute to the victims. Ashley Carter was there and says race, religion, or any other differences didn't matter on that night. Everyone came together to mourn and stand up for the Islamic community.
Young, old, Jewish, Christian, and many other people came to the mosque on Saturday. They offered a helping hand to the Islamic community and relayed the message that no matter the differences they may all have, everyone must come together to defeat one common enemy: hate.
We are facing the same hatred, the same threat, the same terror. We can only get out of this together.
Every seat was filled at the Islamic Community Center in Tempe Saturday, where community members and leaders offered support to the Islamic community following the shootings in Christchurch, New Zealand.
There was tons of voicemails, phone calls, messages. We have received flowers, candies, all kinds of things here at the office, and so just the community has really come together, and so it's just a heartwarming feeling for sure.
It's so much love. Even like when I came here, I was telling her I got goosebumps just by looking at people from all faiths from like different ages, colors, and everything like that. It just makes me feel so happy that people are here to support us, and we'll be there. Yeah, and we'll be there to support you for your time of need.
Leaders also called the community to action to continue to come together and fight against the hateful acts that hit many communities.
Not only is violence hitting our schools, it's hitting the streets, and it's hitting mosques and churches, and at this point violence is hitting everyone in the community, and so it's going to motivate us to push harder.
We know that hatred is here in America, and we got to stand against it. We can't tolerate it whenever it rears its head, whether it's against our Muslim brothers and sisters or our Jewish brothers and sisters, our LGBTQ brothers and sisters, and definitely with our African American and Latino brothers and sisters.
When asked what message the Islamic community wanted to relay, they said they wanted people to understand they are a religion that promotes peace and not the terrorist stereotype they are often plagued with.
If anything, we're just like you, and we're always going to be here to be there for you guys when you guys need it, and we just want to be a family.
Sabah says the vigil was just the first step towards bringing change, and the mourning will only last for a while. The first Muslim Day at the Capitol is scheduled for March 28th. The Islamic community says it will continue to bring communities together and get them more civically engaged. Ashley Carter, Cronkite News.
Phoenix police were concerned about 2 officers being exposed to fentanyl during an arrest last night, but today said it was actually cocaine the 2 officers were exposed to.
Cronkite News reporter Bryce Newberry found out what's being done to protect first responders in the field.
This is where 2 Phoenix police officers were sent to the hospital last night after a possible fentanyl exposure. It's a new reality in the wake of this opioid epidemic that first responders are having to learn how to deal with. The officers were making an arrest at Cactus Park when a white powdery substance believed to be fentanyl went airborne. But today, police said it was actually cocaine. Phoenix police spokesman Tommy Thompson said an officer got dizzy and went to the hospital. Local police departments like Tempe changing procedures in the midst of the opioid epidemic.
We tell our officers if they come upon a substance that they don't know what it is, some type of white powdery substance, to absolutely leave it alone, package it, make sure the package is sealed, and just send it straight to the DPS lab for analysis.
Glendale Police Department telling Cronkite News in a statement, quote, officers across the country are facing a growing threat and departments are rushing to provide officers with the training and resources to handle such a dangerous substance as fentanyl. And the National Police Foundation telling Cronkite News, quote, officers face a variety of known and unknown threats simultaneously, making an already difficult job all the more challenging. We FaceTimed with Dr. Andrew Stolbach. His research for the American College of Medical Toxicology addresses safety precautions for first responders. Stolbach telling us, quote, it would be very unlikely for a first responder to get sick from accidental fentanyl exposure because the drug is absorbed very poorly through skin and doesn't go up in the air without help. As a basic precaution, we recommend that first responders wear nitrile gloves and wash off any powder that gets on skin. A mask would be required only in the very unlikely event that there is powder dust in the air. In Phoenix, Bryce Newberry, Cronkite News.
The 2 officers who were exposed are doing well and were released from the hospital.
Across the country, people gathered calling for the full Mueller report to be made public. Claire Kelly attended the event here in Phoenix.
There was a big crowd at the Capitol last night, some calling for the report to be made public and others there to show support for President Trump.
Is that okay? That's not okay!
After Attorney General Barr failed to release the full Mueller report on Tuesday, a deadline set by Congress, groups across the nation gathered to protest for a national day of action, including here in Phoenix.
We really need to see that full report so we can really see what is the truth.
Over 100 people gathered at the Arizona State Capitol last night to demand that Barr release the full confidential report about Russian interference in the 2016 election.
My suspicion is that Donald Trump is very, very, very dirty. That he's been committing crimes for decades here and abroad, and that Mueller has found out about them.
Barr said that there was no conspiracy between the Trump campaign and Russia, but there was no conclusion as to whether the president obstructed justice or not.
If he's committed crimes, charge him. That goes for everybody in Washington, this building or that building. No one's above the law. I saw lots of signs here. No one's above the law. That's absolutely true. That's something I'll agree with these people on. No one's above the law. Like I said, I love the president, and if he's guilty of something, arrest him and charge him.
The protesters hope that this National Day of Action will raise awareness to this issue.
There are a lot of mild-mannered people out there in the world who don't go to protests, who watch the news and think, how seriously do I need to take this? When they see a protest happening, it makes them sit up a little straighter and think, maybe this is a big deal. Maybe this does matter.
Yesterday, Senator Rand Paul blocked a resolution pushing for the release of the report. It's the 5th time the resolution has been rejected. Claire Kelly, Cronkite News.
A bill that would take people off of Arizona's permanent early voting list is getting pushback from the community. Reporter Nicole Hernandez shows us how one group is making sure the representatives know where they stand.
Tell your state representative to vote no.
Indivisible ASU members got together to call their state representatives.
Hi, can I speak to Isaiah LeBlanc?
Asking them to vote no on a bill that would take inactive voters off of Arizona's permanent early voting list.
I would not be removed by this, but there's no point to having a permanent early voting list if it's not permanent.
There are over 1.5 million Arizonans that currently receive early voting ballots every election. Let's say that list of people is this pile of 100 coins. If the bill were to pass, it would take out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 coins from the pile. The bill passed through the Senate in early March with a 16-14 vote.
You have passed Senate Bill 1188.
It would take off any voters who have not turned in early ballots for the last 2 elections. While the bill is passing through the legislature, there are a lot of groups against the move.
Any voter suppression, regardless of your party that you vote for, is like completely undemocratic.
In Tempe, Nicole Hernandez, Cronkite News.
The bill has passed House committees, but has not yet had a full vote on the House floor.
Phoenix Mayor Kate Gallego has big plans for the city.
She talked about them during her swearing-in ceremony today. Reporter Claire Kelly was there. Claire, what are her priorities?
Mayor Kate Gallego talked about her plans to continue developing the area around the Salt River, working to end homelessness in our city, and investing in the employees and the infrastructure. Phoenicians gathered at Orpheum Theater in downtown Phoenix for the swearing-in of newly elected Phoenix Mayor Kate Gallego. Gallego's inauguration speech included her plans to create good jobs by growing small businesses, protecting the Phoenix light rail system, and giving police new technology to protect our community. But overall, her speech was full of optimism.
Phoenix has been good to so many of us, but our city's best days are ahead. With our collective imagination, passion, and ingenuity, our children will tell theirs about what we have accomplished. Let's build a city worthy of our promise. Let's write the next chapter together. Thank you.
This morning, State Senator Kate Brophy-McGee continued her push to expand affordable health care to small businesses. Cronkite News reporter Bryce Newberry joins us now live with the details. Bryce?
Eliav, Republican State Senator Kate Brophy-McGee is the sponsor of a bill that would allow organizations like the Arizona Small Business Association to provide insurance plans to their members. Senate Bill 1085, sponsored by Brophy-McGee, is one she says is focused on people. It would allow small businesses and sole proprietors to team up and purchase health insurance plans as a group, providing Arizonans with affordable and quality health care. This morning, Brophy-McGee and supporters said the legislation would make this group of people in the state better off and not impact anyone else.
This is the best path for Arizona, and I'm convinced of it. I'm convinced it won't hurt the exchanges because 90% of the people who are on the exchanges are subsidized. And I am convinced it will be a boon to Arizona small businesses.
I'm afraid that some Democrats are going to just vote against this in the House strictly because a Republican brought it to their attention.
That was one of Brophy-McGee's constituents who used to pay $6,000 a year for health care while working in corporate America. Seidler said he now pays at least $16,000 a year for worse coverage. Right now, Brophy-McGee's bill is sitting in the House Rules Committee. It's already passed the state Senate, and the senator says she's confident she has the votes to get it to the governor's desk.
It's overcast today, similar to what we saw this wet winter, and that took a toll on Valley roads. Potholes, cracking in the pavement, and bumpy streets are being repaired with the accelerated pavement maintenance program, and drivers, their tires, and cars are thankful.
A lot of potholes when you're driving here. It's like really bumpy.
People like Tony Alguin drives on Phoenix streets to get to work.
Oh, there are a lot of big holes.
Worry, like I need to brake a little bit, like slow down, because like I see, it's like I don't want to damage my vehicle.
But the city of Phoenix is working to fix that within a 2-year period.
Our accelerated pavement maintenance program is an initiative in the city of Phoenix to do our 5-year resurfacing program sooner and expand the number of miles we can do.
More than 250 major street miles will be repaved. But it's not as bad here in Phoenix. Howard Fleischman, owner of Community Tire Pros and Auto Repair, says streets in cities on the East Coast are much worse.
Tires destroyed by either potholes or somebody hitting a curb, that kind of damage. Probably 6 a week.
Even though Fleischman's shop sees about 6 a week, the city says quality of the streets are important.
The condition of our streets is something that is very visible. It's something that people see, and it's something that people feel. So it's important to keep that infrastructure in good quality.
But the quality can be impacted by things like rain.
We just went through some torrential rains, and I'm seeing some potholes pop up in many different places.
This is a new tire. You can see just how it looks. But this tire isn't even together anymore. A car hit a pothole, continued to drive, and that caused more damage.
But there's just some situations you can't avoid it.
After the hit, Fleischman says the cost can vary because of car insurance, desired tires, and other repairs needed.
Hit a pothole with one of those and break it, you're out $750, where a standard automobile may be $100.
To avoid the damage, the city is asking for your input on where to repair next.
Residents can always let us know when there's something immediate that needs to be resolved, and we'll get on that right away.
When you see a pothole, cracking in a street, or notice a bumpier ride, share which streets need repair on their interactive map.
New tonight, inmates in Maricopa County custody have the chance to participate in rehabilitation programs to help them prepare for re-entering daily life.
Cronkite News reporter Bryce Newberry joins us live in studio with a look at how one program that's helping women heal and stay out of the system for good.
Yeah, I went to the Estrella jail this weekend where women shared their personal stories with the public, singing and dancing, starting to express themselves in ways they didn't know before. Singing for new beginnings.
It's time for new beginnings.
I was already feeling down being here incarcerated. I was going through so much, being away from my kids, how I ended up here, why I ended up here.
Why Arsenia Ruiz ended up at the Estrella jail doesn't matter today. Instead, it's the tools she's picking up behind bars to help her channel her feelings in a positive way.
I found it as a coping skill. I didn't want to be on meds to fight my anxiety, my depression.
She found a sisterhood through Journey Home, a program supported by ASU Gamage to help incarcerated women discover their identities through performance and visual arts.
You can recognize things inside yourself and not be able to figure out how to make that different. Through art and culture, you can.
Only 11 out of 1,100 women here at the Estrella jail get to actually perform before an audience. The sisters come from all different backgrounds, and one by one, they share their stories.
Reflecting on my life, wondering where and how it went all wrong.
I took 3 of them out, and I crushed them down, and I snorted those pills. And that was the beginning of my end.
3 days a week for 6 weeks, performing arts professionals and a therapist meet with the women to work through emotional struggles.
3 days into my incarceration.
In the 18 years of the program, jail staff has noticed a difference in the women who participate.
They saw the female inmates become more open about their feelings and express themselves through the creative arts.
For Ruiz, who faces at least another year in prison,
I felt I was worthless.
Her journey home has already begun.
Journey home brought me from hiding my feelings to painting it out, to getting along with other people, to understanding how people other felt and letting go of my feelings.
At the same time, creating a family in a place least expected. Journey Home has helped hundreds of women through the years. And I talked to one woman who graduated from the program who says she still uses some of the skills she learned in jail in her current life, which includes a job and a happy home. Live in the studio, Bryce Newberry, Cronkite News.
Coming off the track, former racing greyhounds are getting a chance at a different life. They're being trained to eventually go home to a family. Now, a lot of work, time, and patience is given to these energetic dogs, but in that process, these canines are also giving a lot back to their trainer. Home is where the heart is. For these former racing greyhounds who are currently living behind bars.
Our primary purpose here is to take those canines and socialize them.
Question, up the stairs.
Train them and get them ready for adoption. and we've been doing that through inmate work program.
At the Saguaro Correctional Center in Eloy, more than a dozen inmates from Hawaii are getting these canines ready for a home.
Then we go with the sit and down and wait.
But as much time and effort is devoted to these guys, the Greyhounds also give something back.
And the love that they give me inside of this place is you know, second to none, because we really don't have no intimacy with our mom and our sister and, you know, different family members. So, I mean, they kind of fill that void.
Marwan Jackson is in prison for manslaughter.
Down.
He says taking care of these animals has helped him grow.
Yeah. Especially this program, you know, teaches you responsibility and patience and guidance, because they're not going to get what you're trying to teach them right off the bat.
A few doors down.
Crusher, let's go.
Is David Parker and his dog Crusher. He says relating to these retired athletes isn't too difficult. Parker is in prison for murder. He said he has lived the better half of his life locked up.
You know, we wake up and we look out the window, we see bars. He wakes up, he sees his bars. So I think I've grown and matured since that time, and hopefully become a better person in people's eyes. You know, that's for other people to determine, not myself.
It was the offender's opportunity to be responsible for something besides themselves.
Ready?
These dogs have a bright future ahead of them. Good boy. But they also brighten up the lives for these men.
We live with them 24 hours a day. We take care of them. We're responsible for everything about their entire lives, and you can't help but not be bonded with every dog that comes in.
That's it for this special edition of Cronkite News Tonight. Thanks for joining us. For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.